Right now, tonight, there is a driver parked at a truck stop with $200 in his pocket and a warm hotel bed 3 miles down the road, and he is going to sleep sitting up in a metal box instead. It is not because he is broke. It is not because he is cheap. There is a $200 reason every trucker refuses a hotel and climbs into the bunk, and once you understand it, you will never look at that truck idling in the next lane the same way again. Because the $200 is only where it starts. The real reasons go a lot deeper than money, and by the time we get to the last one, you will understand why even the drivers who could easily afford a room still refuse it. It is the one no driver ever says out loud. Let's get into it. Here's what people who have never done this job get wrong. They think sleeping in the truck is the sad part, the thing a driver settles for because he cannot afford anything better, the lowest rung of a hard life. It is almost the opposite. A hotel is not an upgrade for a trucker, it is a trap with a nice lobby. And there are 5 real reasons he will pick a fold-down bunk over a queen mattress every single night, no matter what is in his wallet. Number 5 is the money you would expect, the $200 in the title. But each one after it hits harder than the last, and number 1 has nothing to do with money at all. Let's count them down. We start with the number in the title, because it is real. A decent hotel off the interstate runs anywhere from $100 to $200 a night, more in a city, and here's the part that matters. For most over-the-road drivers, that money comes straight out of his own pocket. The company does not reimburse it. There is no expense account, no corporate card, nobody at the office who signs off on a room. He already has a bed he is paying for with every single mile, bolted into a truck he or his company financed for 6 figures. So a hotel is not spending $200 on rest. It is spending $200 on a second bed while the first one sits empty in the parking lot, running the heater for nobody. Now run the real math, because this is where it stops being about one night. Say a driver breaks down and books a room just twice a week. That is $400. Over a month, it is roughly $1,600, gone out of a paycheck that is already stretched over fuel, food, and a truck note. That is a second truck payment every month for a bed he already owns and drags behind him everywhere he goes. Now, to be fair, once in a while, after a brutal week, a hot shower and a mattress that does not move is worth every penny, and smart drivers do it on purpose to reset. Nobody is calling that a waste. But as a habit, it is a slow leak that sinks an owner-operator, and the driver knows it. He did not get into this business to pay rent on a room he sees for 6 hours in the dark and never lays eyes on again. That is reason number 5, and it is the smallest one on this list. Stick with me, because the next one is the one that actually keeps him awake. Here's the one that beats the money every time, and it is the one four-wheelers never think about. When a trucker checks into a hotel, he is not just leaving his truck. He is abandoning an 80,000-pound machine and whatever is inside that trailer in a dark lot all night, while he sleeps a quarter-mile away behind a locked door where he cannot see it, cannot hear it, and cannot do a thing about it. Here's what matters. That load in the trailer is not his. It belongs to a shipper, and it can be worth more than his house, with the average stolen truckload now valued in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If it walks off in the night, it is not the company that eats it first. It is his name on the paperwork, his reputation, and often his job. Picture the version he is trying to avoid. He is up on the 4th floor in a warm bed, and down in some dark corner of a lot he cannot see, a crew backs up to his trailer, cuts the seal, and is gone with $100,000 in freight in under 10 minutes, while he is asleep with no idea it is even happening. He does not get woken up. He finds out at 6 in the morning, walking out with his coffee, staring at an empty spot. That is the phone call that ends careers, and every experienced driver has heard the story from somebody it happened to. Here's the truth of it. Even if he did check into that hotel, he would not really sleep, because half his brain would be out in that lot with the truck all night anyway. Now, in fairness, plenty of loads are cheap freight nobody would bother with, and a few hotels do sit right next to a secured, fenced yard. But a driver cannot know which night is the night. And no hot shower on earth is worth waking up to an empty spot where his trailer used to be. So he stays with it. He sleeps 10 feet from the freight because the freight is his responsibility. And responsibility does not check into a hotel and leave the door unlocked behind it. That is reason 4, and it is bigger than the $200 will ever be. Now here is the reason that sounds boring until you have actually tried it, and then it becomes the whole problem. Even if a driver wanted the hotel, even if the company was paying, he has to answer one question first. Where does the truck go? Here's what matters. A tractor and trailer is around 70 feet long, and a hotel parking lot is built for minivans and rental cars. There is no truck parking at a Holiday Inn. So now he is circling the block at 11 at night, exhausted, looking for a back lot, a closed business, a wide shoulder, anywhere he can leave 70 feet of truck legally until morning. And here is the brutal part. This country has a truck parking crisis. Something like one legal overnight space for every 11 drivers on the road. The lots fill up by the middle of the afternoon. So the hotel does not just cost him $200, it drops him into a hunt for parking he probably is not going to win, and a driver burns close to an hour a day on average just looking for somewhere to legally stop. He is more likely to get a ticket, a tow, or a 2 a.m. knock on the window telling him to move than he is to find a safe spot near that hotel. And think about how that ends. He pays for the room, finally finds a shoulder half a mile away, walks back to the hotel in the dark, and lies in that nice bed listening for the sound of a tow truck backing up to his rig. Because a truck parked wrong is a truck getting hooked while the driver is upstairs watching cable he did not want. Now, to be fair, a handful of hotels near the big truck stops have figured this out and paved real truck parking, and drivers absolutely use those. But they are the exception, not the rule. For most of the country, the hotel is not even a real option, because the truck has nowhere to sleep even when the driver finally does. That is reason 3. Reason 2 is the one that hits a driver where he actually lives, in his hours, because in this job time is not money, time is the paycheck, and the government counts every minute of it. Here's what matters. A trucker runs on a hard clock, 11 hours of driving inside a 14-hour window, and then a required 10-hour break before he can turn a wheel again. That 10 hours is not vacation, it is the cage he has to reset inside of. So picture the hotel version minute by minute. He finds parking, shuts down, gathers his bag, walks or waits on a shuttle to the front desk, checks in, rides the elevator, hauls his stuff up, and settles in. In the morning, he does the entire dance in reverse. Wake up, pack, check out, shuttle back, walk the truck pre-trip, and only then can he roll. That is easily an hour on each end. 2 hours of his life gone to the logistics of a bed, and every one of those minutes is bleeding out of the clock that pays him. The bunk erases all of it. He pulls into the spot, sets the brakes, climbs back 3 feet, pulls the curtain, and his 10-hour break starts the instant his head hits the pillow. No walking, no shuttle, no front desk, no wasted window. And in the morning he is already exactly where the truck is, because he never left it. Now, in fairness, a rested driver is a safer driver. And nobody is telling you to run tired to save 20 minutes. That is how people die out here. But the point is he does not have to choose, because the best rest and the least wasted time are the same place, that bunk behind the seat. The hotel would cost him the $200 and a chunk of the one thing he can never make more of, his hours. That is reason 2. And it leads straight into the last one, the reason that is not about money or time at all. And reason number 1 is the one that has nothing to do with money, or theft, or parking, or the clock, and it is the reason even the drivers who could easily afford a hotel still climb into the bunk. It is that after enough years and enough miles, that truck is not a vehicle anymore. It is home. Here's what matters. A driver builds that space into exactly what he needs over years. An APU so the heat and the air run all night without burning the main engine, a real mattress laid over the factory board, a little fridge with his own food in it, an inverter, a spot for his coffee maker, photos of his family taped up where the light hits them in the morning, everything in the exact place his hand reaches for in the dark without looking. That bunk knows him. It smells like home, it sounds like home, the pillow is shaped to his head. A hotel room is a stranger's bed in a room 1,000 other people have slept in, with a lock he does not fully trust. Thin walls, a parking lot he cannot see, and a checkout time telling him to get out. One of those is his. The other is just a place he is renting for a few hours to feel worse. And here's the twist that ties this whole thing together. The $200 was never really the reason. It was just the easiest one to say out loud. The truth underneath it is that nobody in this country ever built a place for the trucker to rest. Not the hotels, not the shippers, not the cities that ban overnight parking. So he built his own, in the only space that was ever truly his, the 8 feet of bunk behind the seat. Now, to be fair, living in a box is hard. It is lonely, and it wears on a man in ways he does not always admit. Months away from family, holidays spent in a parking lot, a life measured in miles instead of days. No driver is going to pretend otherwise, and anybody who romanticizes it has never done it. But here is the part that is real too. When the sun goes down, and the lot fills up with 100 other trucks, engines ticking, marker lights glowing, 100 other drivers doing the exact same thing he is doing, there is a strange kind of peace in it that a hotel could never give him. He knows this space. He is safe in it. His whole world is within arm's reach, and the door is locked from the inside. He is not settling for the cab. After all these years, he is home, and it is the hotel 3 miles away, with its stranger's bed and its lot he cannot watch. That would actually feel wrong. So that is the $200 reason, and the 4 bigger ones hiding behind it. The money you never get back, the load you cannot leave, the truck with nowhere to go, the clock you would be burning, and the simple fact that the bunk became home somewhere along the way. And here's the honest truth underneath all of it. When you pass a truck stop at midnight and see 100 rigs lit up with 100 drivers asleep inside them, you are not looking at men who could not afford better. You are looking at men who did the math on the money, weighed the risk to the load, counted the hours, and chose the one bed in America that is actually theirs, next to the freight that keeps this whole country stocked. Every shelf you have ever walked past was filled by a man who slept in a parking lot to get it there. That is not sad. That is the job, and it deserves a lot more respect than it ever gets. Now I want to hear from you. If you drive, when is the last time you actually paid for a hotel? And what finally made you do it? Or are you a driver who has not slept in a real bed in years? Drop it in the comments, because somebody out here thinks he is the only one. And he is not. And if this made you see that truck in the next lane a little differently, subscribe. It is free, and it does not cost you $200. Until next time, keep the rubber side down, the shiny side up, and get some real sleep tonight, wherever home is.